I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, peoples? How you doing? It is a great day, and I'm so excited to have my next guest on the show. You know, we've tried to get her twice, and it's just the anticipation of it all just helps me just like to, but I am so excited to have Alice Parker on the show today. She's going to be talking about her book and all the things that happened back in the day that made this book possible. Welcome to the show, girlfriend. How you doing?
I am doing great. Thank you so much. And I am so glad to see you and be here.
Oh, thank you. It's such a pleasure to finally get you on the show. Yay!
Yay.
So let's go back a little bit. Let's go back into this time where not too far yet, not too far, not all the way back, but let's just go back a little bit. When did you know you needed to write this book?
Actually, it was probably about the second year in. By that time, the four of us had gotten our divorces together. And because the first one was September of 71 and the last was April of 73, a year and a half in between.
Wow.
Wow. But she had, we had been encouraging her all along, and she really was the mother Earth kind of person. And to make it more difficult, she was president of the PTA, and she was a den mother, and and then one of those things happened, and she finally had enough, and so forth and so on, and joined us. So she then was living with me because she really had no place to go, and which was great because she was helping to babysit for my son as I was working. And Connie, who got our leader, who took us through it first, she and I worked together in a French restaurant. It was the first French restaurant in the Chicago suburbs. The original restaurant had been on North Michigan Avenue in Chicago. And it was the maitre d' who had started it. And of course, he knew everybody after 30 years there. And we would have on their seasons, the Bears and the Blackhawks would come in. And of course, we were in these cute little French uniforms, showing everything, short, little frillies and all of that kind of stuff.
You did that.
Oh, sweetie, it was assumed. It's just like I tell people, there was no such a term as sexual harassment. It was life. It was life. And what? You don't have a sense of humor? You don't want to be grabbed and everything? Anyway, and so it was that kind of a situation. So Connie and I were very close, but at the same time, the other two ladies, Michael and April. So as I said, all we had was each other because there was no support from our families or anything like that. It was so totally unacceptable. And one of the whole big things was that we then, when women would find out, oh my God, you're divorced? Really? How did you do it? How did and they were coming to us. I mean, all of us, and asking us, and we're like, well, you shouldn't have to put up with that crap. No, and kept our attorney real busy. And but it was just amazing. And absolute strangers, the women would come up to us either in the bar. There was a big dance bar with a dance floor just at the other end of the parking lot from the French restaurant. And they would say, somebody told me you got a divorce. Can you tell me what I need to do? And the more we would start talking about it, and Michael, as I said, the real mother of us all, kind of saving everybody, she actually one time pulled off the road where she saw this guy beating up his girlfriend or wife or something like that, and got into the middle of the whole thing. And we've got to help these people. We've got to help these people. And I was
my gosh.
So it was kind of, and we were so naive. I mean, we really were suburbanite housewives. You know, I mean, our excitement, Yaya, was a visit from the Avon lady, if you even remember who that might
I
be.
do. I do. Okay, I do.
Your mother, you know, and or being invited to a Tupperware party where they actually served wine, you know. That was
I know
our
about that.
yeah, that was our excitement. So during the week after work, we would go to the bar dance hall across from the parking lot and party and dance and so forth and so on. But on the weekends, after we got off work, we headed right down to Chicago so we could get Motown and blues and jazz and everything. That it didn't come out to the lily white suburbs, you know.
No, I know. I know.
Uh, and we were very much into it all, and so it was. But anyway, and it was sort of as we were all talking, because we would gather at my house and just kind of share, and it was actually April, the drama queen. She said, "Oh, we should write a story and have a movie made of us." and of course she really was a riot, and she said, "And I've got the best title, The Queens and Their Knights." You know, and we just all went, "Oh my God." Yeah. But we did realize there were so many women who really had no idea. I mean, I met women who said, "I would have given anything if I would have had just one person support me when I got my divorce." Just one, you know.
Wow.
I mean, it was really, really difficult. So that had something to do with it. And also I'm an award-winning poet, and the poems set up the sections and chapters of the books, kind of giving you an idea of what's coming, and they're directed whoever might be the key story or character in that chapter.
Mhm.
And I had started doing poems for the girls too, like for birthdays or congrats, you know, kind of a thing. And and then we decided that maybe that would be a good idea. That I said I would like to do our backgrounds, not as an excuse, but what we came through with our childhoods and the difficulties and so on and so forth. Because between the four of us, again, we experienced, you know, the whole wonderful ugly gamut that goes
Mhm.
on. Particular, you know, April with the molestation from her father, and
Oh
you
my
know, these
gosh.
kind of things that, you know, and the whole idea rising above. And as I said, they had daddy issues and I had the mommy dearest, and but it was kind of important. And so I said, whatever you want to share with me, that is like we talk among ourselves, that's how it goes in. I said, but your personal background, your childhood, whatever you want to share with the others, you'll do that. I won't do that. I mean,
Right.
it's kind of respecting their
Right.
privacy in that
Right.
extent and everything. And that was part of it, how it all started. And then I have to tell you, we then decided to change names because we didn't know any innocent people. and and most of the men, or some of the men, or at the beginning a lot of the men were married, you know.
Mm.
And I mean, we had no interest in getting married again ourselves. No, no. And also they were so readily available back then. Well, not
Right.
that they aren't now, but I mean, as I said, there there was no sexual harassment, and it was just kind of, and especially for myself, I was like a kid in a candy store.
Mhm.
uh, as I said, my ex-husband was asexual, and so not a whole bunch in my marriage.
Wow.
And for the others too, they did not have that much experience beyond, you know, and we just, there was just so much going on out beyond us, especially, and, Chicago was nothing compared to LA and New York, but still for
Right.
us, it was a lot. And so anyway, and that's why we chose our names that we wanted to have. And then I made up names for the major characters and so forth in the book, because at that time we were thinking that it would be published,
Mm.
you know, earlier. But of course, in the 70s, a 70s story didn't have that much significance. It was sort of,
Right.
more in later times. But anyway, but that was mainly the whole idea. So they would share with me, and as I said, if it was kind of an open topic, we would do it like when we were all together or something, and we'd laugh, and then especially all the numerous faux pas and everything, and sort of, you know, learn from our mistakes was so much of what we were trying to say and let people understand. And it wasn't all women. There were a couple of men who, not so nice wives, who only knew how to spend money. But it really was the whole idea of what we went through between the four of us, and good, bad, and in between. It covered just about everything. And the book does cover 40 years, and 75% of the book is from the early 70s through the early 80s. And that by that time we had remarried. That for me, it was 9 years before I remarried. And unfortunately, that one didn't work out either, but it lasted twice as long. Anyway.
I gotcha.
And we looked at everything as lessons learned. In other words, don't beat yourself up. Don't get all upset. But the whole idea, and what are we going to learn from this? And as long as you didn't repeat the same mistake, we wouldn't hit you over the head, kind of. And what is wrong with you? And then there was and of course, the big joke, the wild and crazy 1970s, alcohol, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. and just, again, the naivety and the mistakes. And what I always felt was probably one of the funniest stories, even toward the beginning of the book, because I was only divorced a month when we propositioned the movie star.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
Yeah, this little housewifey, and as I said, alcohol was involved. But it was one of those things. We'd gone to see his play, which he had done on Broadway, up at the Arlington Theater in the Round. And I named him Bobby Ryan. And so you'll get a clue. Anyway, and Connie had never met anyone really famous before. Okay. So she was just so overwhelmed, and it was just jammed in the lobby afterwards because, big hint, he did the first centerfold in Cosmo. And if you remember, or if you might have heard, anyway, and it was just jammed with women. So we went back to the bar and we sat and we had a couple more drinks, and then we came out and not so many people. So we went up to ask for autographs. Okay. Now, we were both quite shapely, shall I say.
Okay. I got you.
And I'm wearing a bright red pantsuit, and she was wearing like a navy blue or something like that. And of course, most of the other ladies were older. All right. So when he saw us, he was like, oh, my night has really gotten better.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, it goes, and I go through the whole thing. But it was, and we got him to sign and joking around. And then we went back to the bar, and she said, we have to think of something else. We have to talk to him again. I've just got to talk to him again. So we picked up some more, bills for him to sign, playbills, and for some of the ladies at the restaurant who would be interested. And then it was sort of in the last, and Connie in her low cut suit, she had gone, sign here, please. And he was like, okay. Okay. And on that cue, I said, would you like to join us in the bar for a drink? And he said, actually, I'm having coffee with that group of ladies, but I will come over and talk to you. And it was like, okay. So we go back to the bar again, another drink. And he comes bouncing in all of his cuteness and everything. And talking to us, and Connie's jabbing me, because I was the one with the mouth. And she always just say, you worked in advertising on Michigan Avenue. Say something, And it just came out of the mouth. And I said, did you ever have a suburban sandwich? And of course he was like, what? And I said, and I point from her to me, and she's just about to die. She was not expecting that. And he says, okay. I said, you know what a sandwich is, don't you? And he says, yeah, but what's the suburban part? I said, extra mayo. I mean, I every time I tell this story, I still laugh my butt off. It's just too wild and crazy. And he was like, okay, don't leave, ladies. I've got to go have coffee. I'll be back in 15 minutes, Anyway, so he comes back later, and she's going like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. And I said, well, you wanted me to say something to get his attention. And he comes back and he said, okay, I can't tonight. I have to do an interview in the morning on television, blah, 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 blah. So we set it up for a couple of nights later. And we were just like, okay, and he gives us both a quick kiss on the cheek and runs off to the elevator. And we're going like, holy shit, what did we do? He said, yes. And anyway, it is so hysterically funny because, of course, no clue, but like the sex in the book, which I wanted to say, there's 5 major love scenes. Okay, one for each of us. Each of us girls got to pick one special love scene we wanted to have in detail. And then the 5th one, of course, is with Bobby Ryan. And anyway, but the whole idea was make it because we just laughed all night long, and it was all night long. And I have to say, he later in a Penthouse interview talked about us. But pretty hysterically funny. He named us Franny and Zoe. Franny and Zoe. I can't say it now. And so but it was too funny. And then when he was later on Johnny Carson's show, he said hi to us, and Johnny Carson's just looking at him like, okay, But we weren't able to see him a second time because a very famous lady friend of his popped in to visit with him. It was Easter weekend, and we were just about to drive away when one of his assistants came running up and, she came in to surprise you. And he said, well, she certainly did, Anyway, but the point of it all, as wild and crazy as it was, in telling the story to so many other ladies, and the whole point was anything was possible. And so the story became like we didn't have the word empowerment back there, but such an empowering situation that everybody we told it to, the women were going like, wow, you mean, and that, hey, you might not get him, but the idea is nothing is impossible. You have your freedom, you have your independence, you have you. And this is all about you and having fun for you. And it's kind of how I feel about the whole book, because to me, uh, a book has to be entertaining to begin with. And then you want, for me, it was bring awareness, for women to know. And that whole idea of what they could do, who they could be without any limitations whatsoever. And then, of course, the final thing would be, and it would help change your life for the better. And that's my foundation of the book. And of course, filled with crazy humor and mistakes, as I said, unbelievable faux pas, and but yet at the same time, always supporting each other, always supporting each other. Okay, next time it'll work out. Okay, let it go. Next time it'll work out,
Yeah.
kind of a thing. So it's really, and it was part of when I did finally start writing the book, because a couple of times I had, gone through and things happened. It actually got stolen and made into a really, really terrible picture, but I won't go there. And because they didn't keep anything like what we had it, I had it, but when I finally, uh, Connie had not wanted me. She had moved from Chicago to Upper Peninsula, Michigan. And of course, nobody knew about her background. This was her relatives that lived up there. And she said, I don't want you talking about that. No, don't, just not now. You can wait to do the book. So anyway, in 2015, when I was with her just before she passed, and she said, you get that sucker out there. I want everybody to know what we did and what a fantastic life we had together.
Mm.
And what we accomplished. I mean, in going from those little housewives, to, yeah, really people who found our own way. It did, kind of a thing. And I mean, you've seen from my bio, I've kind of accomplished quite a few big things. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's the passing it on. And that's where I feel that that's the important thing. And women do have to understand, because some of them, even today, it amazes me how many women, they still get controlled, either their parents or their husband or whomever,
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
of thing. So, but it's,
Wow.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys. Oh my goodness.
and, and and the men that we were involved in too. I mean, that's where it was absolutely a riot. I mean, me alone. I mean, I had a judge, I had an attorney, I had a biker, you know, and the others too. So, it was like, okay, well, seemed like a good idea at the time, or wow, that was more than I expected. But and so and I have to honestly say, I have no regrets. I mean, there's a couple of things that was not clever, but it was a huge, huge lesson.
Yeah.
And that, and because there were a couple of things that even flabbergasted me, type of a situation. But it really, it really was pretty wild and everything. But then as we did grow and change and grow and change, and we would always come back together, because I was the first one to leave the Chicago area. And but I would always come back, and then we would always get back together and everything. So, and then we always kept in touch too. I mean, that's one of the things I had someone say something to me. What did you do without cell phones and texting? I said, well, it's pretty amazing what you can do, and
Yep.
what you want to do, or something. So,
Definitely.
yeah. So
Definitely.
it really, really was a totally different time, and I know women who have read the book and share their stories with me as to how unbelievably controlled. I mean, I actually, one woman who's telling me she had just started working as a teacher and she'd gotten a divorce, and she went to get a library card, and they said, well, who's going to sign for you? And she's like, I'm a teacher, I'm an adult. Yes, but you're divorced. You have to
Mm.
have either your father or your ex. And she was like, I don't think so.
No.
I mean, just I mean, most people know you couldn't get a credit card and those kind of things. And we were lucky. Several of our friends we met through the bar had dealerships, so we didn't have a problem getting new cars. But the whole kind of situation with what you could be dealing with there, it's just you're an entity. You are
Mhm.
not a person. And
Yeah.
you know um
Yeah.
yeah, really
It's
kind of
crazy.
amazing. Yeah.
That's crazy. Now listen, okay. I'm just gonna say this, Alice. I'm gonna just put this out there, okay?
Okay, hey, I'm an open book.
Girlfriend. Okay, wait now. Wait, hold on a second. Girlfriend, you had it going on. I'm not gonna lie, okay? You did the do. Ain't nobody gonna think that beautiful Alice, the way you are today, you so kind and sweet looking, but girl, you did it. You did the do, girl. What?
Yeah, I have to tell you, one of the funny things I was told, one of my poetry groups that I'm in, really, really good guy, close friends and everything like that. And he finally got around to reading the ebook. And he came up to me and he just keeps looking down and looking down. And he said, I can never look at you the same way again. He said, anyone who would have told me that you wrote
Oh,
that, I
oh.
and and I think that's one of the things that really, really makes me proud. It's sort
Mhm.
of like nobody has to stay what they were, but as I said, have a sense of humor. If you can't laugh about it, and if somebody can learn from it, to me,
Mhm.
that's everything. To me,
I hear you.
that's the most important thing. But yeah, I've had several of my a couple of the men in my networking group, and I try to warn people ahead of time just to make sure, it is R rated, and it was the 70s, and oh,
Yeah.
okay, and then it's like, was that really you, or was that really true, you know and and I do have a story at this little older woman
Mhm.
at the at the fitness center, and she had heard several of the women talking to me about the book, and she was asking me, and I said sure, and yes, I would. I have a copy right here, and but you do understand, and I gave the whole caveat about R-rated. She was like, okay. 2 days later she comes in and she's like this looking around and comes up to me and she says, is 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 those sex scenes real? And I said, yes. She said, oh my goodness, I never had any idea. And I was like, and it was everything I could do to keep from not bursting out loud. But, I mean, this has got to be one of those poor little old ladies who she was lucky if she got to count this, tiles on the ceiling, as we used to laugh.
Oh my gosh.
And she was like, oh. And I said, by the way, there's 6 of the bigger love scenes in there. Really? And I said, yes. And they're all true too. Oh, okay, I better go. And I was like, yay, I made her day.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yo, I mean, okay, I have to say this. A lot of the youngsters, the millennials, don't believe that back in the day now, these things happen because that's grandma and great grandma and all that.
Yeah,
I'm grandma too.
but
So, but
yeah, we were 25 and 26 years old.
I hear that.
You know, so it's like we would have never believed it either. The fact that me at my age and a grandma, uh, I'm totally comfortable talking about sex, and you're right. You're right to enjoy sex because of course that's still, such a huge hang up and
Yeah, I
and
know
everything.
why. Okay, wait, I have to say this. Why are they so hung up? How did you get here? Hello? Everybody in the world, how the heck did you get here? You got here because of that. Okay, there's something that had to happen. Somebody had to fertilize something. Okay, something had to get
Yeah.
fertilized. Whether you're in a petri dish or in the regular thing, something had to go down. Okay.
Well, to me, I mean, I'm not going to say none of us ever had bad sex, although, some people say, well, no sex, you know, uh, I won't say no sex is better than bad sex, but if you can't help the gentleman along or something like that, but it, we put the best in
Mhm.
there and the others were just kind of referred to as that wasn't too bad, and for a while we were doing the whole kind of scale rating and stuff like that.
You did that?
Oh, we just kind of for fun because, and of course Bobby Ryan was a 15 on a scale of 1 to 10,
Oh my gosh.
but that was more, and we said we can't compare him to others because of his persona,
Right.
okay? And of course what he went on to become, I mean that was in 1972, and by the end of the 70s he was the number one movie star in the country. I mean,
Mm,
number one,
mm.
and not that we had anything to do with it, but I'm sure that especially from that Penthouse article he did on us was certainly made his day. But but it's to me, I believe sex should be totally enjoyed by both. And I think that's one of the things that some women, because of their mothers, probably they never enjoyed it, you shouldn't, that, and I'm sure that was my mother's whole problem because she would always say sex, Oh, and that was another wild question I got asked by someone, and again about is it all true, and I, oh yeah, only the names changed, and said, did your mother really check your underwear when you came in from a date? And I said, oh yeah, that was my mom. A little weird, she was so, and I mean I was a virgin when I got married at 20, only because of who I was marrying, I guess. But it just kind of one of those situations that I would not let her problems, her obsessions, her anti-sex. I knew there was good sex out there. I'd heard other women talking about it, and of course the more that you learned about your participation in it and that whole situation. But I think that's huge for so many women to understand. They have a right to enjoy sex and a
Right.
right to have a partner who wants them to enjoy sex,
Yeah.
and that's huge. And even
Wow.
today, I mean, it's one of the things I say, Yaya,
Mhm.
that so little in relationships has actually changed in 40 years. And
Yeah.
one of the things, like I started talking earlier about the importance of the music in the that I want, like particularly for the streaming TV series, is not only the music of the time, but the lyrics are so similar. The music style might have changed, but the lyrics, it is and always will be 90% about relationships.
Yes.
That's, finding it, losing it, getting it back, blah 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 blah. And that's one of the things that I want to have in the streaming, is that this is what, could was being played then. This is what's being played now. And the
Right.
similarity between, as I said, it's it's sad, but it's kind of, maybe those kind of things can get people to talk about it. I think if they
Right.
talked more about it, and that would be part of it, because I do feel, as I said, the music so very very important to us, our escapism, our letting go and having a good time and dancing our little butts off, and that whole kind of thing, and of course meeting men, type of a thing. and
Definitely.
and that, yeah. And remember, back then you didn't really have any groupies or church thingies that accepted singles or divorcees or anything like that. The only place you generally met a man was in a bar or dancing or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow,
Yeah,
this is amazing. This is amazing. I mean, we have a limited time today, and I wish I could
yeah,
talk to you. I have so many more questions, but really quick, there is one question. If you can
yes,
answer within like a minute.
sure,
Okay. Sex after a certain age, can it be enjoyable still?
yes, yes.
Mm.
Okay, now myself, I I feel I would prefer, either knowing that the partner can perform or getting a younger partner. And it is amazing that there are men younger than me who are interested.
Oh my gosh. Oh, and that brings out the saying. I have to say this. I have to say, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it, guys. It's
Okay,
like, hey,
okay.
okay. So if you haven't found your partner yet, don't worry. He may not be born yet.
Well, I wouldn't go there. I mean, generally, I've kind of tried to keep it to not more than 10 years younger.
Well, no, I'm talking about like say you're 30 years old
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh,
or
yeah.
you're 20 years old and
Sure.
he's just
Sure.
being born.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that I mean, if you're talking about the mid 20s and stuff
Right.
like that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't, but take it the other way too,
Yeah.
because a lot of times, because we had a lot of older men,
Mm-hmm.
and not only because they were ready to get some different experience, but at the same time, they weren't in a rush situation.
Right.
Okay. And there were men that we knew they didn't want to start if we didn't have at least an hour to enjoy each other. Now, you take that back to a 25-year-old male.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was kind of, so I think you
Okay.
need to be open both ways. When you're
Right.
older, be open to younger, and when you're younger, be open to older.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Alice, we're gonna have to have you back on the show to talk about this because
Oh,
this
anytime, my dear, anytime.
girlfriend. Let me tell you something. You just hit a spot. I'm sure my listeners are gonna be like, what?
Read the book. Read the book. It
Read the
and
book. Read the
yes.
book. It's called Choices, Changes, and Friends, 1970s After Divorce, the true memoir by Alice Parker. I'm going to go ahead. She's got her website at that's a dash, not an underscore, but a dash, a-wonderland.com. And I'm just so excited to have had you on the show, girlfriend. I didn't even know this was going to go this way, but it's okay. It's okay.
Good, good. Laugh. You
Alice.
got to laugh.
Alice, girlfriend, Alice. Oh my gosh, girl. Thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank
You
you.
guys,
Thank you.
if you've had a treat, Alice has given it to you. You need to go ahead and share this video. Don't forget to check out a-wonderland.com. Choices, Changes, and Friends, 1970s After Divorce, a true memoir by Alice Parker. Man, Okay, look, just don't come back to me after you read it. Just go to her website. Just don't do that. All right, guys. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, don't forget to dare to be different. Ooh, bye.
I did to be different. I did.